Moments ago, as you saw, Columbia Police Chief Skip Holbrook, along with the Richland County Coroner Nita Rutherford, held a press conference talking about the shooting yesterday and the chase that left 2 people dead, a police officer hurt, and a suspect behind bars.
Tonight, we learned more about the man police say is responsible for the shooting and heard rare emotion today from Columbia Police Chief Skip Holbrook. News 19's Zoe Henry was at that press conference. She joins us now live outside of the Columbia Police Station with the details. Zoe.
A lot of information, new information that came out of this press conference today, Darcy and Andrea. I mean, we're starting with the identity of the Columbia police officer who was involved in the crash. He was on his way to respond to the chase with the suspect. Now, Police Chief Holbrook identified the officer in the crash as Darian Davis. He says that he's been working for the police department since January 2023. He says in the crash that he suffered severe leg injuries in the crash and underwent surgery. He is now in recovery. Now, Chief Holbrook also talked about the suspect. He is 28-year-old Wesley Gross. When he was arrested, officers found 2 guns on him. He is charged with murder, possession of a weapon during a violent crime, and failure to stop for blue lights and sirens. Gross was out on a $10,000 bond for breach of peace and presenting a firearm at a person from Richland County at the time of the crime. Now, this was an emotional press conference, as we've already shown you, from Chief Skip Holbrook.
I'm really at a loss of what I could even begin to say to the family of Miss Brown. You know, we strive for perfection, and we train for perfection in an imperfect world.
Now, Holbrook did say that this crash involving the Columbia police officer is being investigated by State Highway Patrol. Zoe Henry, News 19, WLTX.
Zoe, thank you so much for those updates. Now, you just heard Zoe give you the new information, but a lot happened yesterday, so we want to go over the timeline with you. At about 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, Columbia police were called out to the Kia dealership. That's on Greystone Boulevard, and after they got several phone calls saying that there were shots fired there. Now, police said just moments ago they still don't know the motive, but they say they found 39-year-old Graham Pope, who worked at that dealership, shot multiple times while he was seated inside a car. He died from his injuries, and police say the gunman, 28-year-old Wesley Gross, then took off from the dealership in a Mustang and led officers on a chase. Now, it was during this time that police say an all call went out with a description of Gross and his car. Now, that is when another police officer, Columbia police officer Darian Davis, who was in the North Main Street area at that time, he responded to the call saying he was heading in that direction. But Columbia Police Chief Skip Holbrook said about 1 minute later, he got into a car accident at North Main and Prescott. The coroner then confirmed to us today that 34-year-old Ashley Brown was driving alone and was involved in that crash with Officer Davis right near the Obama gas station. The coroner says Brown was pregnant. Both Brown and her baby died from those injuries. Officer Davis was also hurt, and as you heard Zoe say, he had to be taken to the hospital where he had surgery. Now, in the meantime, back to the original suspect, Wesley Gross. Police say he headed towards the Rosewood area, then sped through Shady Lane, which is in the Lake Catherine area, and about 3:18, he crashed his Mustang into a wooded area behind a house and tried to get out and run, but Columbia police caught him. Wesley Gross was taken into custody, and he has been charged with murder and possession of a weapon during a violent crime. He is being held at the Richland County Jail tonight without bond.
The woman who